Hey, this is John from Boy and Bear, and you're listening to the Mixtape on Radio Fremantle.
Hello and welcome to the Mixtape podcast. I am your host, Mark, and every week we'll take a deep dive into my guests' inspirations and influences by asking them to make up an imaginary 6-track mixtape. There are over 120 archive episodes. The mixtapepodcast.com is your one-stop shop for all of those episodes, my YouTube channel, and it'd be great to catch up with you on social media as well. Don't forget, if you enjoy this episode, to give us a like, a share, or a follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. And I hope you enjoy this week's episode. Hello and welcome to today's mixtape, and I'm absolutely delighted this week to be joined by Jon from Boy and Bear. How are you, mate?
I'm doing really, really well. The weather has come good over here. We've sort of gotten out of winter a little bit, so happy days.
Yeah, same in Perth, mate. It's been a bit sunny the last couple of days. It's been a long, cold winter, and yeah, I didn't sign up for that when I came to live in Australia from UK. I signed up for 365 days of sun, and it hasn't turned out like that. So yeah, never mind. Okay, so we're going to talk about, first of all, the new double A-side single, Where Does Life Begin and Vertigo. That's out now. When you get a couple of songs like that, what was the sort of reason why you put them out as a double A-side? Do they share thematic sort of themes, musical themes, or, what's the go there?
Yeah, I think they have some, there's probably some kind of lyrical themes that cross over a little bit between them, but it was more like it's a funny world where like music is now versus say when I was a kid. And so you're thinking about ways to put music out. I don't know, like depending on what source you read, there's 100,000 songs come out each day. Probably a lot of them are AI, but there's a bunch of stuff out. It's like, how do you do something that kind of feels special? And in the end, it's like, let's just do something that's fun for us. We like these songs. We don't have enough, like you can't put everything out as a single, and you have songs you love and you think, I want that to have a moment as well. And so we kind of went, we all love listening to vinyl. We're like, let's just put out a double A side. And it also, and I mean, like in a weird way, it kind of tickles the Spinal Tap fan in me as well. I feel like they'd approve a double A side as well. So yeah, it was kind of like a fun light way of doing something, but also just popping a few songs out. Because when someone puts out a song, I always want to hear more. So we give a little bit more here. So that was kind of the thinking.
Yeah. Talking about a little bit more, does this sort of double A side maybe, a precursor to some more material from Boy and Bear, maybe a full-length album in the future?
I mean, like, I can't say anything official, but we've rarely ever put out a couple of songs without following it up with anything else. We're sort of, we are we're an old school band in that sense, or an old school artists. We do albums, so I'd be surprised if there wasn't more to come.
All right, we'll leave that one there then. Say no more. All right, we'll watch this space for that one. So the double A side vinyl is available through your website, boyandbear.com, and I'm sure for Perth people as well, if you get yourself down to the usual Perth outlets, they'll be able to source one for you as well if they're not already carrying it in stock. Let's talk about live shows as well, Jon. So a couple I want to talk about, particularly for Perth people and WA folks. Good Day Sunshine Festival happening on the 19th of November. When was the last time you were over west, and are you looking forward to getting down to Margs?
Yeah, we're very much looking forward to it. I think we were there at the end of the last year, but Margaret River is always a vibe. I mean, I'm a wine lover personally, and we all love the beach, so we usually go and have a swim, and then those of us who partake a little bit as well. So Margaret River is a real great vibe. And to be honest, the festival lineup, like festivals are great because you sometimes play with people who you've heard of and you're interested in, and sometimes you play with artists you haven't, and it's a great experience. But this is a lineup where I'm like, I look at this and I'm like, this is going to be a fun, like where people will be asking to go early to be able to watch the acts beforehand and afterwards. So it's going to be very fun. Yeah.
That was sort of leading into our next question, which was, is there anyone particular on this lineup that you're sort of stoked to be playing with, or you're going to be looking out for to catch their set yourself?
I mean, like, I guess we've done a bunch of shows with Teskies, and that's a great vibe. But then and also Meg Mac. But then it's also kind of exciting to see artists who you kind of haven't seen the show as many times. But I am actually I will say I can see you wearing the shirt now. I do want to see the Teskies because we haven't done a show with them, I reckon, for maybe 4 years, and
Okay,
they've done a lot between then and
I
now.
have. Yeah.
So I think it's always interesting to see what happens when a band gets big, like because they've gotten big, and what it does to the live show because they had a real thing that people connected to back in 2021 when we were doing some shows together, and we were kind of, this is interesting because like
Mm.
I hadn't seen them live before that, and then we did a run of like 6 or 7 shows. So I'm very intrigued to see what that looks like now.
The Good Day Sunshine Festival. I went to the 2022 festival that Teskey Brothers played, and what I like what they've done, the organisers, because I remember my overriding memory of that show was hoodie, beanie,
Yep.
being really cold because it was like I think September down there, and it was really chilly. So I like the fact they've moved it to the back end of November. It's going to be lovely and toasty warm down there. Leon Bridges, I think, headlined that show, and the Teskey Brothers were on before him. Thelma Plum as well was amazing that show.
Yeah,
Good
she's
Day
great,
Sunshine.
isn't she?
So good. Yeah. I really enjoyed her set. It was really, really good. So yeah, great memories of the Good Day Sunshine Festival as well. And the Teskey Brothers, like you say, they've done so much in the last 4 years, like tours, and I think they've even put 2 live albums out in the last 4 years as well. So yeah, that's going to be awesome for sure. Other live shows as well. How about this? Sydney Opera House, 14th of December. How does it feel to be playing that stage?
Yeah, it's just a crazy feeling because like I grew up in Sydney, and that was
Mm.
like there was a very iconic gig there when I was a teenager that I didn't get to see, but I watched on the videotape with my brother, and it really made a difference to our lives. Like
Mm.
it kind of was one of those things that lit the spark of the dream of doing it. So, yeah, I think like we're trying to almost like for me, it's one of those things where I need to really not think about it too much because it'll feel a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
And just kind of keep putting one foot in front of the other. But it was like because when we were talking about it, we were sort of like, do we do it? Do we not do it? It seems such a crazy thing, and then to be in like it's all rolling now and it's happening, and so I've never had so many people get in touch with me when we're doing a show. Like, so
Yeah.
that it's an exciting feeling that people who I've known from 20 years ago or whatever, or people who've been to shows but haven't been for a little while, like everyone's coming out of the woodwork, which is great.
Yeah, no, for sure. Sure, it's going to be a great one. Iconic venue. Must be such a buzz for an Australian eyes to play there for sure. All right, we're going to jump into a quick fire five now, mostly around the live show theme. So, first of all, John, do you have a pre-show ritual?
We like, I'm sure individuals sort of do, but it's more of a collective thing. We tend to like in that like last hour before the show. There's like the spare acoustic guitar gets brought back to the dressing room because there's like
Mm.
Dave has two in case he very rarely, but he occasionally breaks a string. So the spare comes back to the dressing room, and then people kind of get changed from what they're wearing into whatever they're going to wear on stage. And then we just start singing through a few choruses and just sing a few harmonies, and people kind of warm their voices up. And it's like it's partially about warming up, but it's also about just that kind of getting yourself into the moment of going, we're about to play a show. Because when you've been doing it for a while, as we have, you don't want that complacency to where you realize, oh, hang on, we're about to go on, and you kind of can't catch
Yeah.
up to it. So that's what like it's relatively simple, but it is nice just to sing and play and hear the guitars and stuff. And usually what I do, and a couple of us are like this, we'll go and watch the last a person who's on before you, just so you really like you see the stage, you hear the music, you get that inspiration of seeing another artist playing, and then it's not like a kind of a shock when you step out there and see people or whatever. So yeah, that's it's kind of more or less that's what it is every time.
What is the weirdest thing in your tour rider?
So we don't have anything strange in our rider. So I was thinking about this one. The challenge we face, and it's a bit of like I think we're a lot more environmentally conscious now or sustainability conscious. And you realize that like your rider has to get paired back to the things you just want to have because otherwise you get confronted with the level of waste that happens. So
Yeah.
I don't want to be too serious and on a high horse because I'm not like stuff still gets wasted, but it's like how do you remove all the things that are just stupid so that the things that are on there are the things that are going to be had. So it's there's nothing crazy on ours, unfortunately. So we end up with like a platter of sandwiches, some fruit, a few beers, a couple of bottles of wine. Probably the biggest debate we have over whether we should have soda water or sparkling mineral water. And I'm in the sparkling mineral water camp. I'm convinced that blindfolded I could tell you the difference between soda water and sparkling water. Others think that that's maybe flawed, but I think Simon's on the base. He likes soda water. Killian's in the sparkling water camp, and then the other guys are a little bit more agnostic. So that's probably where our debate is.
That is so rock and roll. And that leads perfectly into the next question, which is, what is the most rock star thing you've ever done? If you say you punched on over soda water or sparkling water, that would be the best.
Oh, maybe I've just answered that one, but no, I feel like in terms of the rock and roll behavior, it's all pretty light for us. Like, yeah, I mean, everyone enjoys a bit of a time of it. Particularly, it's nice when you get on a tour bus overseas and you know that you can just roll into the bunk and move on to the next place. But there's nothing too crazy happens for us. So I think the soda water, sparkling water. I think because you've understood it's the Spinal Tap thing. It's getting hung up on these tiny little details that are insignificant to other people. So I think that's where we probably spend our time as well.
Awesome. Just going back to tour riders really quickly, I had a fantastic answer from Jack, our mutual friend from the Pierce brothers, when I asked him that question. He said what he does, or his tour manager does, is he asks for like loads of boxes of like cereal and dry goods and stuff like that, and they don't touch it. They just stash it on the tour bus, and then when they get back home, he drops it all off at like homeless shelters and food banks and stuff like that. So that's how they sort of use their sort of tour rider, which I thought was fantastic. Yeah, it's a really great thing to do. Yeah, that was a really good answer. Yeah, fair play, Jack. Well done, mate. What's your favourite city to play live, John?
So it's hard to bring it to one because, if you name names, then people miss out. But it would have to be in Europe for me. I mean, okay, so Sydney, like we played the Opera House, the concert hall once, and that was like definitely, we did 2 shows there, and one of those shows was a highlight of my life. So, but I feel like we've done so many shows in Sydney, I can't kind of say it's that. I think it's probably like we've played a few shows in Utrecht and then in Amsterdam. I can't decide between those two, but I'm going to say Utrecht because we went there last time and it was amazing. And I have family from there from like years ago or whatever. And the Dutch, they know how to do hospitality. And they're like in general, the Dutch and the Germans, when you go there and you play a show, it doesn't matter if you're playing to 100 people or 2,000 people. You get fed an amazing lunch when you arrive at the venue. You get fed an amazing dinner. Everyone says hi to you. It's like, it's very family vibe. It's like, and then you go to, and I mean this in a nicest possible way, you go to the UK or you go to Australia, there's a bag of crisps, there's a few sandwiches, there's maybe a few beers that have been left out of the fridge. Like if we talk about riders, the rider just gets ignored and you just get whatever you get there. Whereas the Euros, they want you to have a moment with it, apart from France. France, you dip back to I mean, I love France. I lived there, but they treat you a little bit more the Australia UK way. But the US cities are incredible. So I'd say Utrecht.
All right. And final one in this section, John. If you could time travel to any concert, which concert would you go to?
Yeah, I mean, it'd have to be seeing the Beatles play on the roof, I reckon.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
I mean,
that's a great documentary. That
I love that thing, and then seeing the documentary and actually seeing seeing the people kind of like popping out of like, oh, what's happening up, like standing down the street, and I think that would have been incredible. I mean, I also saw one where I would have loved to see. I think it was it Hell's Bells where AC/DC were like. Maybe it wasn't Hell's Bells. It could have been Long Way to the Top, actually, I think, where they would drive. Like, have you seen the clip for that where they're driving on the back of it like a tabletop truck through Melbourne? I think I would have loved to see that because, I mean, like, I love AC/DC, but there's something so ridiculous about it as well that I get drawn to that kind of thing as well in the best Spinal Tap way. But I think it'd still be the Beatles. I think the songs are better.
Fantastic. Yeah, that is a great doco. That I think it's on Disney over here. Yeah, I love that. It was when they're sending people down to like stall the police at the front door of the building and stuff like that. That is so good. Yeah, it's brilliant. That's the sort of side of it you didn't get to see before, you know.
And the outfits they were wearing are completely ridiculous, but they're just killing it. It's like the fur coats, like they're just amazing.
You're listening to The Mixtape.
The Mixtape is brought to you in association with Giglist. Giglist is your one-stop shop for all your live events. If you're looking to get out and experience some live music, you can filter by artist, venue, suburb or date. If you are an artist, it will take you less than a minute to list your gig for free on the website. The Mixtape brought to you in association with Giglist. Gigs in a list. All right, let's drop into Mixtape track choices then, John. So track one of your mixtape would be Attention Grabber. What would your track one Attention Grabber be for your mixtape?
I mean, this was so hard. I have to say, like, it's great because it challenges you to look through your catalog of stuff you like. I'm going to go with Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears.
Right choice.
I think when it comes out of the gate, it's just so striking. And I think I like it because it's kind of a peculiar song where I think the bridge is almost like the hookiest, best bit of the song, and it only happens once. But it's so amazing, and it leaves you with that feeling of wanting to play it again. So anyway, I love that song.
Yeah. Great choice, mate. Fantastic one to kick it off with. And track two, John, is what is a song you sing when you're on your own in the car or the shower?
I think it's got to be like I mean, I'd be guilty of a lot of these. Particularly, I'm not a shower singer. I don't know if you are, but I am a car singer. I've gone with "I Want to Dance with Somebody," that Whitney Houston song. I think there's something like it's maybe a slightly like the song meant one thing when she was alive, and because she passed, it's a song that makes me feel this sort of deep sense of melancholy, which I kind of enjoy. Like where you sort of, even though she didn't write the song, she sort of embodied the song, and you listen to that and you go, wow, like she was a pop star when to be a pop star you had to absolutely have it. Like, and everyone today has it in a different way, but as a vocalist, as a performer, like it's spectacular, and it's sort of, yeah, it makes you appreciate the fragility of life when I hear that. It makes me feel emotional when the song comes on the radio, and I would never have expected to feel it from a song like that, but I think it is, it's special.
Yeah, that's the beauty and power of music, I think, for sure, absolutely. Yeah. All right, track three, John, what's your favourite cover version?
I mean, this is like, there's been some spectacular covers done over the course of like musical history, but I'm going to go for Wonderwall by Ryan Adams because I always love that.
It's a great one. That is a great one. That I think I've read an interview or saw a clip somewhere where Noel Gallagher said like, that's how I wish it had come out for us. Like that's what he meant. Like when he was writing Wonderwall. That choice comes up a lot on this show. People pick that, been picked a few times. That Love Is Hell album is a cracker, and that's a great.
He had a great period, Ryan Adams, in that sort of phase around then. It was great, and that was cool because he was like he did those two EP. Speaking of like a double A side, he did like
part one and part two, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like very cool. I like that.
No, great, fantastic. Track four, John. What is a song you wish you could play to your 18-year-old self?
Yeah, so I had to like put myself in mind of me at 18, and it was kind of like grunge era, I guess. So I definitely thought that, you know, it was like all about Pearl Jam and Nirvana and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains, whatever then. So what I wish I'd probably listened to, or what I wish my 18-year-old is, I reckon probably I'd say Girl from the North Country by Bob Dylan. And I think because I never got to Dylan until later in life. And I think the earlier you hear Bob Dylan in your life is probably better. So I think like when you really understand a story in a song without I think it's great to have all the things around it. The grunge had a real sense of attitude, and the sonic was so different after the kind of, I guess, hair metal of the 80s and whatever and things. And then, but when you hear a song like someone like Bob Dylan, like I don't think anyone would say Bob Dylan is a great singer in the traditional sense, but he's a man who delivers a story, and there's an aesthetic around him, and he's just super cool. So I wish I'd gotten to Dylan, you know, before I did. So that would be it.
No, it's a great choice, mate. I did some. So I think this will be episode 121 of the show, and when I got to 100. I did some like stats for the socials, was like in terms of like artists have been picked the most, and you know, Australian artists have been picked the most, and blah blah. And in the first 100 episodes, and it's continued on as well, the most chosen artist is Bob Dylan by
Wow.
like he's so far ahead of everyone else. Like no one else is even anywhere close to him. Just for in the cover version category, people have picked All Along the Watchtower a lot. And his songs just every category he's the most popular artist by a country mile.
Why? Do you have any theories as to why?
I think All Along the Watchtower has been picked at least 8 or 10 times, so that counts. That gives him a lot of scores. But he's also like Traveling Wilburys has been in there as well, so I counted him for that. And just I think it's just his influence and his quality as a songwriter. A lot of people have covered his songs, so he comes up a lot there. But yeah, I think it's just the storytelling and just the iconic nature of him as an artist. I think he's influenced a lot of people. Yeah.
There's something about him that he's sort of like, it's almost maybe because he doesn't seem to court it, like he doesn't want it. Or maybe he does, but he certainly doesn't seem to want it. I don't know. There's something about him. He's all these contradictions in one. He's not the person with the best voice. He's not the best guitar player. But as far as a whole package, he's just unbelievable.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Have you seen the movie? You seen that movie?
I haven't.
Oh, it's really good. Yeah. It's really good. Yeah. It's a little bit. I think it glosses over in certain bits. I think the relationship with Joan Baez was maybe what I would call Hollywooded up a little bit in terms of how it was in reality. Because I think it was a little bit more, what should we say, tempestuous than it actually is shown in the movie. But great movie. Yeah, definitely recommend it.
If you can indulge me, I do have one Bob Dylan anecdote that I heard in a podcast.
Go on, go for it. Yeah.
So I had a little bit of a deep dive with this producer called Daniel Lanois, who's done some big records. I think famously like U2 records and stuff. But he did a couple of albums with Dylan, and the first album they were doing, Lanois built a studio somewhere on the West Coast, sort of for Bob, I guess because at that level you can build a studio for him. And they did a few things there, and Bob said something like he didn't like the way the piano was sounding in that studio, and they decided to relocate to Florida to re-record the album. And I was kind of like, I don't understand what world you live in where and Lanois says, I think maybe he was trying to get away from his kids or something, like he was too close to them. So they've spent God knows how much money on the West Coast tracking this thing, and then they just moved the whole thing across the other side of America because Bob says he feels like they need to record it in Florida instead. And so I love the singularity and the self-indulgence of it, and the fact that he then makes a great album anyway. So I'm like, maybe it's worth moving.
And that's probably not even the most rock star thing that Bob Dylan's ever done either. Not even close.
No doubt.
All right, John, if you were using your mixtape to sort of let someone know that you're romantically keen on them, what would be a song that you would put on your mixtape for that, mate?
Yeah, I have to make a spot decision because I had two things I wrote down that I thought of, and I don't know which one I'd go for. I mean, I feel like I've always been a little bit leaning into too much of the drama, so I'm going to go for the more dramatic choice, and I'd probably go for that Radiohead song called All I Need, which it's on In Rainbows, and it's an amazing song.
Yeah, great song. Have you ever used a mixtape or a playlist or anything like that to let someone know you sort of keen on them in that way? Was anyone ever done that for you?
I've definitely done that, but I wouldn't have been as it's interesting. So I should have thought about it that way, because what I wouldn't have been as direct as that. I would have been like trying to say, hey, how cool am I? How good's my musical taste? Actually, my team story. So there's that. What is that movie? I think it was maybe that movie Garden State.
That's a great soundtrack, that movie.
Yeah, it's an incredible soundtrack, and I think there's a moment in that movie, and I could be mixing the movie up, where the guy, the male protagonist, gives to the girl a copy of the Shins' "Wincing the Night Away."
Is that movie? Yeah,
and says, "This will change your life." Okay, there was a girl I liked, and I wrapped it up and gave it to her birthday, and just wrote, "This will change your life." So I tried that on and failed. And my mate who was telling about it was like, I don't think she got the reference, but the point is it didn't work anyway. So that was my attempt at doing the, rehashing somebody else's thing that worked, but it didn't work for me.
And finally, John, to round out your mixtape, what is a deep cut or maybe an album track or a B-side that you feel is a bit underappreciated, mate?
So I've chosen this song I don't think it has a name, although it may have been given a name later. But it's by an artist called Aphex Twin, and it's
Mm.
on an album. I think, hang on, it's a very pretentiously titled album. Um, I think it's called Selected Ambient Works, maybe
Yeah.
number 2, and it's track 3 on that, and it's
Right.
like,
Okay.
yeah, it's Selected Ambient Works Volume 2, and it's track 3, and
Right. Okay.
it's instrumental, but there's a little bit of vocal in it, but it's an incredible thing to listen to. Either I think you should listen to it by yourself, but headphones are good or really nice speakers. And if you want to do a modern version of it, just go and like look it up on YouTube, and then just sit there for an hour and read the comments, because like there's an absurd number of comments, and the way people interact with that song is special. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's one of those things I just was like, oh, I can just keep listening to this, and I wish I'd done it. Like
Yeah.
every now and then we get a question about which song do we wish you'd written, and I'm like, it's obscure, but I wish I'd written that, because I feel like
Yeah.
if you wrote that, you'd put it on and you'd see people react to it, and you'd be like, yeah, I did good there.
All right, John, just to finish off, mate, future plans for the band. Obviously, we touched on it a little bit with the possibility of future material, but going into sort of back end after the Sydney shows and early into 26, what you got planned, mate? More shows of recording? What's happening?
Yeah, I mean, like I think, like I said, nothing. Like I said, with the, is there more music to be released? Nothing's been sort of announced or whatever official, but we don't tend to just do one-off shows. We usually do tours as well, so that might be a clue to what's coming. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got ourselves a studio, so basically we made a little studio where we live, near where all of us live. So we basically we just want to keep recording songs. We've been recording since we finished the last body of work that we did, and then
Yeah.
we've got shows coming up with maybe some here, some overseas, and then we'll just keep rolling, keep putting music out. I think that's we'll talk about just keeping the dream alive. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah, fantastic, mate. As I said at the top of the show, the double A side is out now. Where Does Life Begin and Vertigo. That is on coloured vinyl. You can get that from boyandbear.com. Also, the place to go for tour dates, tickets, and everything else for the Sydney Opera House show, the Good Day Sunshine Festival, merch, and social media links, and all that other good stuff. Boyandbear.com. John, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Safe travels over west. Cheers, mate.
Thanks
Take
so
it
much.
easy.
Cheers.
Pleasure. See you later, mate. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Mixtape podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to go to the top of the page and rate it 5 stars, or give us a like or follow on social media at the Mixtape podcast and radio show. Don't forget, there's over 100 archive episodes just waiting to be discovered. And all you need to do is visit themixtapepodcast.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.